The Last of Us, a title released in 2013 for the PlayStation 3, released by none other than Naughty Dog. A couple years after, it's been ported to PS4, and I've recently played it and completed it on PS5, running in backwards compatible PS4 Pro mode. And holy, where do I start with this game? This game is amazing, and in this video I'm going to be breaking down why it is amazing and why it's so good, in my opinion. So normally I don't talk about graphics in video games because I usually don't really pay attention that much if the gameplay is overall good. But in The Last of Us, for a PS3 game ported to PS4, this game looks amazing. And it still looks very good on PlayStation 3. Obviously, it's not optimized for PS5, and it could have looked better, but I don't blame the developers for that since it was originally developed 7 years before the PS5 came out. I have many screenshots of the landscapes and just how good everything looks for the time that it was created. Naughty Dog really went all out with making the character models, visuals, and lighting on this game. For 2013, this game really stands out. It looks like it's been made in the past 2 years or so, and looks leagues ahead for a game made in 2013, such as Grand Theft Auto 5. The story in this game is phenomenal. This is some of the best writing I've ever seen in a video game. This, along with Uncharted, have very well written stories, but this one by far is much better. Joel starts out as a lonely man who lost his daughter 20 years ago due to an outbreak of an infectious disease started by a fungus. After time, he gets old, angry, upset, closed off, and silent. Everything that he has worked towards and forth is all gone, and he's starting from scratch in an apocalypse. In the first few chapters of the game, we see the beginning of what happened right before the outbreak for Joel and his daughter. Joel was very content and merry with how life was going for him, but that soon all changed. After holding his daughter, after getting murdered at the hands of a soldier, this caused a resentment for the military in Joel that would last for 20 years. So after we've covered the beginning, I'm going to try to speed things up by summarizing things as quickly as possible. I probably already should have said this, but there is going to be spoilers. Well, I mean, I'm talking about the story of the game, so it's kind of expected. But anyways, Joel meets up with his modern day friend, forget her name, she's a one-trick pony character, which is fine because she doesn't need an important purpose, she's not the main character. Tess, that's her name. Anyways, after meeting up with Tess tasks Joel with bringing a child across the United States of America for some money or some sort of reward. Joel accepts the offer and takes this child as she could be immune to the virus that's going around infecting everyone, causing aggressive behavior. Anyways, they go across the United States in an apocalyptic, torn setting. Eventually, they reach their end destination, and from then on, I won't spoil it anymore because that's the most important part of the series, in my opinion. You can really tell that these characters really have a bond with each other, and it's fantastic how well written they are. Each line resonates with you and stays with you for the rest of the game as you consider what they said. And the voice actors sound like they're actually deep into the characters. They're happy and content with the characters that they're doing. The voice actors of Joel and Ellie did a phenomenal job, along with any other side characters did really good. Nothing really broke my immersion the whole time because the story was the thing that kept me going, along with its fun gameplay. This game's story is probably the strongest point about it, and what a story it is. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I speak of this story, you should either A, play the game, or B, watch a walkthrough of someone playing this game. So if I were to rate this game, in this category, I'd rate it a 10 out of 10. The story is phenomenal, captivating, and amazing. And it still holds up 7 years later. This game is really good in this department and does a perfect job emulating encapsulating what a perfect experience for a game would be like, in my opinion. So I'd rate it a 10 out of 10. And also, by the way, if you're wondering, for the last category, I didn't give it a rating because I don't think the visuals of a game really has an effect on how good the game actually is. I just wanted to point out how good this game looked for the time that it came out and the systems that it came out on. So the gameplay in this game is actually pretty fun and addicting, for me at least. It has the elements of stealth, which I enjoy. I like games with stealth that are incorporated into it, not just tacked on. Like Splinter Cell is an amazing example of how a game does stealth properly, and this game also does it properly. One of the major downsides, though, in the gameplay is that you constantly have to be scavenging and foraging for stuff just to be able to survive and play the game, which is kind of dumb at times, but kind of immersive at others. It really varies and depends on how you perceive that certain action. I found it as fun at times, and then other times just straight up annoying, and I didn't really want to do it. But regardless, whether you like it or not, you're going to have to do it in order to survive and get past every circumstance. Certain enemies can't be taken out in a normal fashion, such as clickers. You have to get a shiv in order to kill them in a stealth way. But if you can either charge them head on with the gun, or you can just stealthily kill it and get rid of it as fast as possible. Combat feels pretty good, but the only thing that I don't like about the combat is that you have to stand still for a second for you to reach like maximum accuracy, which is kind of dumb, I think. But I guess it helps, it like encourages players to play more stealth rather than combat only. So that's understandable. But those minor problems that I just mentioned aren't really too big of an issue, since the story mainly blinds what problems that you might have experienced with the overall gameplay. Overall, the gameplay is good. It's not perfect, so I'd rate this a 7 out of 10 because there are some issues that are very annoying here and there. The controls are a little weird at times, like holding L1 to run is kind of strange, but you get used to it anyways. So there are minor setbacks, but mainly it's blocked out by the amazing story and the overall gameplay mechanics besides that are enjoyable and fun to the player. Just like the story, the soundtrack is also phenomenal. I mean, it does a great job. Like, if you thought Cold War does an amazing job with its soundtrack, portraying the game and how the feel of the game is, oh my goodness, this is a whole different level. Like, The Last of Us really nailed this part of the sound, if anything. The soundtrack is amazing. Right on par with the story. You probably know I'm already going to rate it, that being a 10 out of 10, which I am going to rate it a 10 out of 10. But before I continue on to the next part, next segment, I'm going to play a little bit of the soundtrack right here so you can listen to it. Alright, I'm going to continue on to the next part now. You already get what I mean, right? I assume so. But, holy, I know this went a little overboard with the amount of time that I put, but my god, I love this soundtrack. This is one of the best video game soundtracks I've ever heard. So starting off saying this, I feel like I should say that this should have gone in the story and characters part, but it's just so big that I feel like I couldn't put it in there. And also I feel like it deserves its own section. So The meaning slash impact of the overall story, including the ending. And there are going to be spoilers here, so if you haven't played the game and you want to know what happens on your own, then you should probably swipe away. This game does an outstanding job of applying these themes and putting them onto the player. I mean, these are very heavy, mature themes. This game does such a great job of making the player feel exactly how Joel feels. I mean, when he lost his daughter in the beginning, you could feel how sad he was. And me personally, I can relate to that. I've been there before. I know what Joel's feeling. He's feeling confused. He's feeling sad. He's feeling overwhelmed. He's feeling like he's lost his purpose. He doesn't know what's happening. These are some really serious themes, and this game handles them with care. You look at other games that don't handle them with care, and they just look stupid compared to this game because it does such a good job. It makes almost every other game that tries to do this look just stupid and dumb. These themes of sadness, loss, anger, confusion are themes that almost any single human being alive can relate to. And that's one of the several reasons why this story is so great and so captivating. You playing as Joel, you feel like Joel. You feel like you're there trying to protect Ellie because you lost what could have been great. And it wasn't your fault, but you put that strain on yourself as Joel. And that leaves an impact. The story is so well written that almost everything you do in the story feels different. Like you haven't experienced it in any other game before. It feels new. Joel rushes into the surgery room as Ellie's being prepped for surgery to take out the fungal infection from her brain that's somehow made her immune to the fungus. This ending is one of the best endings I've ever seen because it's left so open-ended. It leaves discussion open and consideration open and thinking open for the player to imagine. What would have happened if Joel were to not save Ellie? Would the infectious disease still be going around? Would people still be dying, losing their lives, living in fear, discomfort, all because Joel wanted to save Ellie? But on the other hand, if you look at it from Joel's perspective, what would you do? Would you go through that pain again just so everyone else could live their lives? Would you experience that? Joel couldn't let that happen again. So, this is another reason why the story is so amazing. The ending is left open-ended. It makes the player conflicted. Think about the decisions they've made, why they've made, and how they've made. And I love this because no matter what perspective, what view you look at it from, you can understand the other side and why they took that route and why Joel took that route if you disagree with him. And you can understand why he wouldn't have taken that route and why someone else would want to take that route if he took the other route of saving the world. You can relate to the other side although you disagree on this point, and this is so masterfully constructed. So if I were to rate this section in part, I'd probably rate it a 10 out of 10 again because this is just perfectly constructed. This is so well done. I've never seen a game of this caliber of storytelling ever before. I mean, this game just it beats everything that I've played before, including Red Dead Redemption 2 for me. So this segment's probably going to be the shortest. The DLC is not too long itself. It's probably 4 to 6 hours of playthrough. And honestly, it's pretty good DLC. It's not bad. It comes bundled in with the remastered version of the game. On the normal version, I'm pretty sure you have to buy it. but it's pretty good. Like Ellie and her friend that she talked about in the main story. This is before the main story. Ellie and her friend go to the mall, and eventually Ellie's friend tells her that she has to go to the Fireflies, which is this like group that's trying to save everyone. And then like one thing happens to the next, and then they kiss, and then clickers come, and like runners, and all sorts of infected. So then you have to escape, and then once you escape, you find out that both of them are bitten and infected, which leads up to the main story. While this whole part is happening, you're going through flashbacks connected to the main story, or flash forwards connected to the main story, where you're gathering supplies for Joel when he gets fatally injured due to a spike getting thrusted through his stomach. So you're trying to collect supplies for him while dealing with soldiers chasing you down, while also dealing with infected, while going through an abandoned mall. So it's actually pretty fun. It may not sound fun, but it was pretty fun. I uploaded a clip of it a few days ago. So if I were to rate this part, I'd rate it a 9 out of 10, as it's almost as good as the first game. The only downside to this DLC, I believe, is that it's so incredibly short. Besides that, it's pretty fun. That's the main flaw I can think of. So, anyways, on to the conclusion. So, in conclusion, this game is a phenomenal experience. If you have a PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, or PlayStation 4 Pro, or even PS5, you should consider picking this game up as it's fairly cheap, and it is an amazing experience that I recommend almost anyone to go through. It does have elements of horror, which can be spooky at times. Heck, several times I didn't want to play this game just to the fact that I didn't want to get scared again because the clickers scare me. Besides that, though, this game is amazing. Anyone should play it, I think, who owns a PlayStation. It is what everyone is saying that it is, an amazing game. I'm not talking about the second one, the first one. This is what this whole review about is. The first one is an amazing game, and it really is just outstanding. I've never seen a game of this caliber, of this emotion, of this greatness before. So in total, it would get a 9.2 out of 10. Naughty Dog did an amazing job with this. So before you go, if you've played this game before, I'd like you to consider these questions and think about them real quick. Do you think Joel's actions were justified? Do you think what he did was right? Would the world be better off if he did that, and how? And what impact did this game have on you? This game stands out in such a way from its amazing visuals for the time, its amazing writing that still holds up today, storytelling, characters. It feels grounded, real, and its addicting gameplay. All of these factors are that of which make up this amazing game, which is called The Last of Us.
It's okay, baby. We're safe. We're safe. Hey, we need help.
Stop!
Please. It's my daughter. I think her leg is broken.
Stop right there!
We're not sick.
Got a couple of civilians on the outer perimeter. Please advise.
Daddy, what about Uncle Tommy?
We're gonna get you to safety and go back for him, okay?
Sir, there's a little girl. Let me. Yes, sir.
Somebody, we've just been through hell. Okay, we just need... Shit. Please don't. Oh, no. Sarah. Move your hands, baby. I know, baby, I know. God. Listen to me, I know this hurts. You're gonna be okay, baby. Stay with me. I'm gonna pick you up. I know, baby, I know it hurts. Come on, baby, please. I know, baby. I know. Sarah. Baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Come on. No. No. No, no, no. Please. 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 Please don't. Please. What are you doing? Don't. I need to.
Fucking animal!